Brenmiller Energy is one of the companies working on the global energy transition. And this is specific with the award-winning BGen thermal energy storage technology. It's a heat battery using crushed rocks to store high-temperature heat. And with me is the CEO and founder, Nir Brenmiller, to explain this. So give me like a broad overview of the company, and then we'll dig a little deeper.
Thank you so much for the intro. So we are coming out of renewable energy and energy. That's the third company we are leading. And after we sold the previous company, we saw a massive need to bridge intermittent sources of renewables that are the most abundant today and low-cost source of energy to the industrial applications that require steady supply of heat. Heat is by far the largest, I would say, single source of use of energy. 25% of global energy is industrial boilers, and it's much bigger than the whole electricity sector. You want to decarbonize it, you want to replace fossil boilers, you need to electrify it in a more efficient way, but how can you source electricity around the clock if it's intermittent or very high prices at peak hours? So you need a battery, like you need a battery for your car if you want to electrify it, or you needed a battery for your phone when you wanted to take it off wire. And this is what we have developed. We have developed a heat battery that will enable electrification of heat for the industrial sector.
Yeah. So explain how this works in practice. You mentioned the car, a phone. How will consumers use your product?
So we replace boilers in industrial applications. In a standard factory, 80% of the energy consumed is heat. Heat in boilers, gas boilers, oil boilers, or coal boilers. And what we do is replace it with our system. We do it, by the way, in a service way. We provide it as a service. We install it, and then we sell it by the ton. And we are in charge of charging the system, but we do it in hours where the grid is available, or the prices are low, or when the factory is off and it's nighttime. And this is how we are able to be competitive to natural gas, because we charge only at off-peak hours. If you compare off-peak low 4 hours to average prices, not even talking about peak prices, in Europe it's around half, a 50% cost. So this is how you can be competitive, provide discount over current prices, 100% clean of any emission, and it's a win-win situation both for the client that can decarbonize and save money and hedges prices for the long run.
Yeah. What were the key drivers behind your pivot to a high margin licensing first business model? I mean, what was kind of the decision of that strategy?
Yeah, that's a really recently announced. It's a very big question. I will try to answer it because we are a very small company in terms of market cap. While we have created crazy value in this company, we invested, by the way, $40 million. Overall investment is way over $100 million to date. So we have created this amazing technology, and we find it very difficult to raise money in a nano cap company enough to provide solutions globally. So what we did is formed local JVs or partnerships in Europe, in the US, and other locations. And then we are sort of licensing the technology there, but also building businesses there that will provide financing and raise capital locally. And today it's riding on many trends. First, people want to manufacture locally. They want to consume locally. The deglobalization is hitting hard. Also around energy, maybe mainly around energy and energy products. So we are at our top co, at the listed company, gonna work in a way that we provide exclusivity and manufacturing rights and support to these daughter companies that has with partners, global partners, local in every country, and then we are raising capital on a local level. This way we protect the mother company from dilution. We open access to finance that is for the private sector or infrastructure finance that is irrelevant to listed companies. And that's the way we're going to scale this company without massively diluting on a repeated basis, especially in these times where you have no liquidity for small caps or micro caps, and it's very hard to sell dreams or plan versus hard revenues.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned it was fairly new kind of pivot. Are there any partnerships or agreements or anything you're in Israel? Is there anything with the EU, or talk about that part?
So we have a JV in Spain. We serve the European market for Spain. We did it with a couple of European medium-scale developers, and we are we are putting an office in every country as well. So this is already running for a year. They have developed already a pipeline that is over $300 million just over this year. And now we are working together to finance it on project level, to grow it again locally without putting more capital from the top co. And that is something that is working very well. And I think that we're going to copy it to the rest of the locations.
Now, you have 100 megawatts already of the BGen thermal energy storage deployed. What have been kind of the real world performance? Have you found that validated the technology? Are there any changes, things like that?
Well, we are continually evolving. Of course, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, the product has evolved and will continue to evolve like any product. We have some of the projects are running for 7 years already. But I think that the inflection point for us will be the Tempo Heineken project that we are currently building. It's a massive project in a very large brewery, the manufacturer of Pepsi, Heineken here in Israel. This project is well underway. It's going to be operational, handed over by year end, but we're going to start producing energy already in the last quarter of this year. And so I believe that this point where we are the first in the world to run a fully commercial, full-size system that is in the heart of a production flow, 40,000 bottles an hour, relying on our system to provide energy. That's a very, very important and big milestone for the company. It will help us to convert the pipeline and to grow the pipeline as well.
And you did recently present a path to profitability to investors. Can you kind of summarize that quickly?
Yeah, it's part of the plan. I mean, we're going to shift costs to the daughter companies, the operational cost, the business development cost. We're going to raise capital there. And then by licensing and providing exclusivity, we're going to get very high margin recurrent revenues. This will help us, I believe and hope, to be cash flow positive in the near term, faster than we planned originally, where we wanted just to grow the company organically, from the top co. So increasing revenues, reducing burn rate, everything is going to happen faster. So that's the pathway to profitability. We think in these markets, you need to adapt. You need to come with a plan that you maybe put some filter over your big dreams, but it's still big enough, and you can show that you can adjust and be, flexible. It's not always happy days, and I don't think the market is going to change soon. So you need to change.
Well, and that's kind of the nature of entrepreneurship, I think, as well. So finally, Nir, where would you like the company to be in, say, 2 to 3 years?
We want to be a company that is growing at least 100% a year, deploying projects in the EU, in the US, and some other locations. At least, as I mentioned, at least 100% growth with high margins, valuation where I think it should be. We invested $130 million. I want to see a few X on that investment in valuation. We just want to continue to do what we do because we are doing something good for us, for the world, and I want it to be good for the investors. That's it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for explaining Brenmiller Energy, and please come back and update us as things start to evolve with the company.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.